Before you start on your algebra journey and beyond, I want to give you some tips and tricks to help you to improve your process and reduce your confusion and frustration simply by keeping your work neat. By doing so, you help to reduce errors and thereby improve your grades, sometimes quite tremendously. For example, look at that image on the board. I think we all agree that that looks like a 1. That's fine if that's how you write a 1. Some people may choose to write their 1 like this. That's just fine as well. However, what happens when you are referring to an L? When you write an L, you should write it as a cursive. That way it distinguishes it from the 1. And you also distinguish it from your capital L. Capital L and little l are not the same thing. Any small letter and large letter are not equal to each other, and in fact they usually refer to different things. For example, in geometry, your angles are normally denoted by capital letters, for example, capital A, and the sides are denoted by little a, or any other combination of letters. What about this number? Number 2, correct? Well, a lot of my students write it like that. What else could that resemble? Do you agree that that could resemble a Z? Looks a lot like a Z, and oftentimes my students get those confused when they're writing 2's or 2Z's, and then they get themselves into a big mess of characters and numbers. If you're writing Z, you might want to write it with that in the middle to distinguish your Z's as your 2's, or write it in cursive as its normally standard form. Okay. I also have students who write this as a number. Well, she's currently in 6th grade, and to her, that's a 4. Well, what if it's confused with your Y? Don't do that. You're going to write your Y in a cursive form like this, and it would be a good idea to write your 4 like that. What about your little a? That's fine, right? As long as you keep it looking like a little a. You do not want it to look like this, which is your proportional sign, or this, which is delta, which is usually used in calculus and sometimes physics. This, which is an integral sign. This, which is an infinity sign. We also have alpha, which is often used in statistics, which should not be confused with number 2, which is how some people write it. Or obviously we don't want it to confuse with an 8. That's an extreme case, but I have had students who have so much difficulty trying to figure out how to draw and write some of these symbols. X is another great point of confusion, because an X, written as so, can imply multiplication. So you want to again try to write it in your cursive form. As you can see, this and this look quite different. You may choose to write your X like that. It does denote that it's an X because of that little tail there, and it is slightly different from the X, but I recommend going with your cursive X. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to keep our equations neat. So let's say we have the equation shown above on the screen. Okay, we want to keep our equal signs always in the same column. So, for example, in this case, we want to get rid of our X. So we're going to subtract X on both sides. And then we're going to work our way down. So 2x minus x gives you x. Bring down our 5 in the same column. Our equals is on the same column. The x cancel out and you're left with -1. You're going to subtract the 5 on both sides. Once again, keep it in the same column. The 5's cancel out, so you're left with x equals -6. The same thing applies when you just have an expression instead of an equation. So let's say we want to solve this expression. I'm going to put our equals on the side, the left-hand side that's shown. We're going to collect our like terms. So 2y plus y gives you 3y. And then you're left with 3 plus 1. You still have those constants there. Going to put an equal again in the same column. When you simplify that, and that helps to keep everything neat and in the same column. And that's the end of today's lesson for your tips and tricks. If you like my videos, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or suggestions for the topics you'd like to see, please leave a comment below. I also offer tutoring services, wyzent.com, and I also sell notes on Teachers Pay Teachers. Links down below. Thank you.